regardless of how you feel about 2016, and I think we're all in agreement that it wasn't the best, you should always try to look at how each year was for you specifically. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. Pretty good, even. One thing I noticed was how much change was happening. The biggest change being that I graduated from high school this year. Of course, that doesn't really make an interesting video, so here's this instead. In 2015, I was listening to a lot of music that I thought was good, and also a lot of bad music. The good I still listen to today. Things like Gorillaz and Tool spring to mind. Tool being my favourite, definitely the best band I've ever listened to, and Gorillaz are the band I've been listening to the longest. The kind of music I was listening to in 2015 were groups like Queens of the Stone Age, Primus, Alice in Wonderland, Hiatus Coyote, Glass Animals, Fatboy Slim, Nero, Nirvana, The Prodigy, Childish Gambino, Richard Cheese, Wodsky, Wu-Tang Clan, and Wolfmother. The majority of those artists I just mentioned I still listen to, but I wouldn't recommend some of those depending on the person. The music I'm going to be focusing on are things I'd recommend. It just has to be something I listened to in 2016. A slight issue with that is the music could have come out decades ago. I just have to have listened to it last year for it to be on this list. Although, 2 out of my top 3 artists did have albums that came out this year, so that's something, right? If you're at all interested in the music I mentioned in this list, links to specific songs will be in the description. They're the songs I'd recommend listening to first to get an idea of what each artist sounds like. I'm making this video because I love when people recommend music to me. Of course, they'd have to have a good taste in music before I'd trust them, or at least a similar taste in music to what I have, but I do try to listen to all genres. It's pop and country that I like the least, even despise at times, but I can enjoy a good, catchy pop song from time to time. Country is just awful. With that, I'd like to start by going through some of the songs I'd recommend. You by Peter Blood is a really lovely acoustic song. I actually discovered it from an Adult Swim show, Moral Oral. I really do love it when a creator puts in a song that fits perfectly with the show, and this song was perfect for the situation of the episode it was in. It's a really easy listen as well. It's nice as just background music if you're chilling or having a drink, so yeah, listen to that one. 2 pop songs I've really enjoyed listening to this year are D.R.A.M's song Cash Machine and Charli XCX's song Vroom Vroom. Now, Cash Machine is catchy as fuck. I love it when you talk to me, my cash machine, my cash machine. It's such a fun and happy song, especially when you sing it, and the piano loop is just awesome. It's such an earworm, but it's a good earworm. Vroom Vroom is a pop song I liked because it's so dynamic. The sounds are unique, and Charli's modulation in her voice is always this perfect overlay to the music. Normally, the issue I have with pop songs is that the lyrics aren't well written, but with these 2, it's almost like I don't care just because the music is so good. And, I mean, the lyrics could be good. I haven't really taken time to focus on them. I'm too busy jamming to that beat. I feel like an idiot saying that. I did listen to the album that Cash Machine came on and the EP that Vroom Vroom came on, but I just did not like them at all, which was a shame, so that's why I can only recommend these 2 songs from these artists. Childish Gambino's song Redbone. It was this song and the song Me and Your Mama from his new album Awaken My Love that were the best, definitely the most popular songs on the album. In fact, I called that Redbone would be in the top 10 for the Triple J's Hottest 100, and it got number 5, so it's pretty cool. The album Awaken My Love is a dramatic change of genre and style for Childish Gambino. You see, he normally does hip-hop and rap, but For this album, he did funk and soul music instead, which really worked. It was a great album. If you are looking for more hip-hop or rap music, I would recommend his album Before the Internet. That's been one of my favorite hip-hop records for a long time, but I really am happy that he explored new genres, because he did it pretty fucking well. He has had an amazing career since he started on, like, SNL. He was writing for SNL, and he had his own YouTube channel. He's come a long way. Countless Thousands in their song Excellent Horse-Like Lady. This is a song about Hyung Song Wol. I butchered that name. She is, or perhaps was, a North Korean singer, and there was this rumor that, well, she made porn and she was executed by firing squad because of it. I love the lyrics in this song. It sounds like they translated it from Korean. If you like Countless Thousands, I would recommend their other music as well. They are a pretty good band, but not many people know about them. Drifted by The Shoes. I am putting this in this list for the music video alone. Watch it, it is great. There's too many people dreaming to play. Now that the songs are over, I'm going to move into the more album and artist territory and slowly make my way up to my top 3. Just remember, this is not a ranked list. I would recommend all of these. Injury Reserve are a hip-hop group from Arizona. They've released 2 albums, both with titles oddly about teeth, don't question it. I can't say I like listening to every song on their albums. It's closer to maybe 5 songs on each one. I love both opening songs, those being Yo and Oh Shit. I fucking love the music videos to the songs All This Money and Whatever Dude. I hear a lot of people say that Injury Reserve are great because they have excellent personalities. But technically I think every artist has personality. It just comes down to how well expressed and unique that personality is. And I think that's what Injury Reserve have. They're a lot of fun to listen to. Check them out. Herbie Hancock's album, Headhunters. This came out in 1973. It is definitely a product of its time. This is a funky, experimental jazz album that is very hard to describe. It is impossible to play this with friends and not get weird looks if it's not the kind of music they listen to, because it is very strange the first time you hear it. I find it to be a really nice album just to chill out to. There are some intricate instrumental performances on this record, and some of them just blow you away. You have to stop and process what you heard because it is that good. This is a classic funk album. I highly recommend it. Next up, Tom Rosenthal. My girlfriend actually introduced me to his YouTube channel through the song Little Big Mistakes, a vocal and piano piece about sex and existentialism. Needless to say, I fucking loved it. It's worth going to his channel just to see the music videos that he does. There is a variety of animation styles and several live action videos as well that are just lovely to watch. And the brightest of the light shines right through. Oh, I can't tell if you're far close or near, and I don't know what my mind wants me to do. As well as that, he conquers the challenge of conveying tons of different emotions throughout all his songs. And it's worth going to his channel just to see the video Little Big Mistakes. It's very entertaining. Clarence Clarity. I'll get through this one quickly because this video is getting quite long. His album, Know Now, is tremendously well produced. The Guardian described his music as funk played by a swarm of bees. He makes this eccentric electronic music that has clearly had a lot of time and effort put into it. If you're into electronic music, I definitely recommend him. Kendrick Lamar's album, To Pimp a Butterfly, is amazing. It is probably the best hip-hop record I've listened to, at least for a very long time. Unfortunately, I only listened to it in December of last year, so I haven't had a chance to get around to the rest of his music. But if it is as good as it is in this album, I'm sure I'll love it. His samples in this album are excellently used, and his voice is so dynamic when he raps that it makes every track sound unique. He's really good at rapping as well. There were times, just like in Headhunters, where I had to stop the music, go back and listen to it again because it is that impressive. The jazz beats in this album are addictively good, and I love the concept of ending every track with this poem, where each time he says an additional line, I highly recommend this album. Big Black was a punk rock band founded by Steve Albini. He has been in the music industry quite some time, but he was pretty young when he made this album. Songs about fucking. I love this album. It is angry, abusive, aggressive, alliteration. It is fucking painful to listen to this at high volume. This came out in 1987, and the lyrics are about some things that people find uncomfortable to talk about today. I'm stealing from Wikipedia here. The band's lyrics flouted commonly held taboos and dealt frankly and often explicitly with politically and culturally loaded topics including murder, rape, child sexual abuse, arson, racism, and misogyny. They obviously didn't advocate any of these things. It was meant to serve as a commentary or a display of distaste for the subject matter. Big Black uses these distinctively clanky guitars and a drum machine instead of a drum kit to give them this sound that is just so uniquely belligerent. This is the kind of music Kurt Cobain listened to. They are not for everyone. In fact, I would say there isn't a single person I know who would enjoy them as much as I do, but I love them. Rage Against the Machine and their greatest hits are fantastic. It is the anarchist soundtrack to life. It's anti-government, anti-corporation, anti-consumerism. Their rock sound is defined by Tom Morello's signature guitar riffs and solos. Zach De La Rocha writes some of the most epic and memorable raps and choruses that promote this leftist revolutionary political view that they encourage. A lot of their choruses are these repeated slogans that just get embedded in your mind. Their song Killing in the Name is the most obvious example of this. Just look at the lyrics. I listened to this band so much this year, but I'm kind of drawing a blank. Anyway. Car Seat Headrest is Will Toledo's band, I think that's fair to say, and he's been making music for quite some time, but I'm giving him the number 3 spot for his 2016 album, Teens of Denial. Toledo's lyrics and performances are a big part of why I love this album so much. It was the song Drunk Drivers Killer Whales and fill in the blank that got me into them, but after listening to their full album, I think it's all equally great. Songs like Drugs with Friends, 1937 State Park, and fill in the blank are examples of how Toledo can express his feelings, a lot of the time negative feelings like depression, and then turn them into these catchy and wonderful songs. Other songs like The Ballad of Costa Concordia, Cosmic Hero, and Connect the Dots seem slightly more intricate with both their instrumentals and their lyrics. There's a lot of lines in this album that I love so much. In Costa Concordia, he rewrites the chorus from Dido's White Flag to make it sound even more depressing. There's a line in Drunk Drivers Killer Whales. Another line in Destroyed by Hippie Powers where he says, these song lines either hit me hard, really spoke to me, or just made me laugh. Despite that all the songs on this record are about depression, anxiety, existentialism, drugs, the music doesn't sound like this woe is me kind of music. It's really, really nice to listen to. It's very rare that I get an album where I love every single song that is on it, and that's absolutely why I'm giving this the number 3 spot. Out of my top 3, I definitely recommend this one the most. It is the easiest one to get into. I do want to keep talking about them, but I will talk for ages on the next 2, so I better get it over with. Just please, listen to them if you haven't already. Number 2. Clipping are an experimental hip-hop group, and they have made some of the best music I have ever listened to. The members consist of William Hudson, Jonathan Snipes, and Daveed Diggs, and that's the same Daveed Diggs who won a Tony and a Grammy Award for his performance in Hamilton, but I assure you, Clipping is nothing like Hamilton. He is so fucking skilled at rapping that he can rap over an alarm clock. It is truly impressive to see the speed and delivery in his performances.
Get back up on the toes, study all of your fractions, get up on the honor roll, roll the marijuana, then flip the hoodie up and get ghost.
Clipping use samples and make beats that are unbelievably well produced and, at times, symbolically reflect aspects of the song. They put so much work into creating these unique stories within each song, and they are these dirty, violent, hedonistic songs. Clipping also have this idiosyncrasy where Daveed never raps in the first person, it's always in the third person, so the acts that he's depicting, he's not engaging with, he is just depicting them. My water is actually hot. It has gotten so hot that the water is hot. Another cool quirk is how genders of characters can swap midway through the song because the gender wasn't what was important about the character. I'm thinking songs like Wriggle that depict sex slavery or prostitution. I'm not sure, but that's the example that springs to mind. It was the song Work Work that got me into them. Other songs I'd recommend are Body and Blood, about a woman who seduces and eats people, Inside Out, about drive-by shootings, and Get Up, about dealing on the street just to get by. That was all from their self-titled album, but the albums I would recommend both came out in 2016. Wriggle is where you'd find more of the dirty raps I mentioned before, but the one I'd recommend more is Splendor and Misery, which also came out in 2016 and has become one of my favorite records of all time. Clipping are excellent storytellers, and this can be seen in their multiple tracks titled Story, which are so intricate and detailed and well wrapped that there are fan theories about how they are all linked. But this album I regard as their magnum opus because it is all one story. It's a concept science fiction album about slaves being transported through space, and one of the slaves, named 2331, Cargo 2331, breaks out and takes control of the ship. Everyone else dies. Or perhaps maybe they're hidden somewhere on the ship that he can't find them. The point is, it's open to interpretation. A lot of stuff on this album is open to interpretation, and that's an excellent thing for an album to do. Each individual viewer can have their own interpretation. Cargo 2331 is paranoid that he is being chased through space, so he keeps setting random courses for the ship to go on, and then he jumps into hypersleep, wakes up like 100 years later and sets another course so they won't find him, and he goes insane. It sounds like he goes insane. He's all by himself up there, and he just wants to listen to music all of the time, or rap or something, so he tries rapping over the sounds of the spaceship, and you end up with these really atmospheric science fiction songs that are excellent. They're just excellent. That's all I can say. The album is this epic that crossfades between science fiction raps and slave songs and choirs, and it all fits together perfectly to tell this one ingenious story. There is so much in this album I haven't even begun to touch on. The computer raps at certain points, like tells the story, and people think that the computer and the protagonist fall in love. There's a war being fought in outer space, and there are encoded messages in the fucking songs. It's just amazing. No joke, I went on a school trip to Rottnest.
Hey, where's Jeb?
And on the bus and ferry ride back, I listened to the album 2 times in a row because it was just that addictive. I loved it so much. Number 2 spot for sure. Oh, the video's almost over. Yay. And the number 1 spot goes to, drum roll please. It's 9 Inch Nails, the industrial rock band founded by Trent Reznor, and I'm giving them the number 1 spot because of the album The Downward Spiral, which I think might just be the best album ever made. At least the best album I've ever listened to. Maybe. I listened to a lot of 9 Inch Nails this year. The Fragile, With Teeth, Ghosts 1 to 4, Year Zero, Pretty Hate Machine, Broken as well. But this is definitely the best one. It is the only one I would classify as a masterpiece. It's a concept work with an interpretable story that develops with each song. It's about a central character that seeks pleasure through sexual domination and drug abuse after this person he calls Piggy leaves him. This album explores themes of addiction and self-destruction, as well as a lot of anti-theism. There's this aggressively passionate distaste for religion in songs like Heresy and Ruiner. March of the Pigs is a song about consumerism, and Reptile always sounded like a song about a prostitute to me. For those of you who have never heard this album before, you may actually know the song Hurt. It was covered by Johnny Cash and became one of his best songs, and I believe the Johnny Cash cover was used in the film trailer for Logan recently. But an even better example of the song Hurt being used was in Rick and Morty Season 2 and their finale. The very final song that plays is Hurt, the 9 Inch Nails version. It is fantastic. It's another example of where, in an Adult Swim show as well, where they used a song that just fit perfectly with the situation. Fucking epic. The song that made this album and the band skyrocket in popularity was the deeply sexual hit song Closer. I love this song and the music video for it. It is spectacular. In the context of the album, it is this depraved sexual song, and it's so fucking good. Now, I'm not the best at describing the sound of music. 9 Inch Nails, like clipping, can be very harsh to listen to. Sometimes there are grating sounds used, discordant drums, cacophonies that just destroy any sense left in your ears. But for an album about self-destruction, it's a pretty perfect sound. It goes without saying that this album is not for everyone. If you're the kind of person that only listens to pop music, then listening to this will be like showing an 8-year-old the Saw series. But anyone out there open to a listen of what I just mentioned, definitely get on this album. Here's some fun facts to end the video. The introductory song to this album, Mr. Self-Destruct, uses a sample of a person being tortured. Sadly not a real person being tortured, that would be too metal. It is from the film THX 1138, I think. That's definitely on my watch list now. I'm gonna check that out. The Downward Spiral was recorded in the same house where 5 people, including the actress Sharon Tate, were murdered by the Charles Manson family. That's pretty fucking metal if you ask me. The final thing I wanted to say was how much of an influence this album was on me. My Semester 1 artwork reflected the anti-religion themes in the album, even including a few lines from the song I Do Not Want This. It was also a massive influence on my art film, which was about addictions and consumerism, much like some of the songs on the Downward Spiral. I even used a song off the 9 Inch Nails album Ghosts 1 to 4 as the main track that plays through Have an Addiction. I really love this album. I love all the music on this list. Anyway, this video is far too long, so cut